Admittedly, this was a bit of a last-minute trip, but at the same time, sometimes those trips are the best.
Oh, that was rad. Way steeper and tighter than I'm sure it's gonna look.
I had a bit of a silly idea at the end, so stay tuned to see what I got myself into.
Well, I guess if, yeah, you're going camping and then you want to go mountain biking, you want to take your bike out and get out where you want to go.
Trips like this are really cool because it's kind of back to the basics of the whole internet videos, having fun on bikes, all the stuff that I love and I hope you love too. So I hop on the highway and start riding south. You know, it's getting late in the day and I'm kind of stressing on ferries. And I'm looking, there's like the short, easy, it makes a lot of sense, it's pretty, it's like the best ferry. And I saw the ferry schedule and I didn't know if I would make it on the ferry, so I went to the other ferry. It's like a half hour longer to get to. The ferry is like a half hour longer, and then it brings you somewhere that adds like another 20 minutes. Oh, so it was like an hour extra added my trip. Not a huge deal, but make it there. Right lane, 2 hour wait. Sit in line, and I'm like, really? Sitting in line? I think I'd rather go ride my motorcycle east to the desert and go ride somewhere hot and sandy. Keep having thoughts of giving up and going east instead of west. Well, once I got up to the ferry terminal booth, the friendly Washington State, she let me know that.
All right, so next time you don't have to wait in this line. You can just drive all the way down to the dock.
Okay.
And on a motorcycle, there's always room.
Oh, sweet.
Right up in front of the cars up there.
Cool. Well, that worked out. I thought I was gonna have to go to the desert. Really glad I didn't just give up and turn around and ride 2 hours into the desert. This is gonna be a much more enjoyable, totally different destination. Whew. This was worth the moto ride. And this is the first ferry trip I've had on the motorcycle. I was actually a little bit nervous that I would leave it in neutral and like the boat would stop and it would roll into the ocean. That wouldn't be good. The ferry ride's beautiful. It's not super long, this is a short one.
We ask that passengers not leave any backpacks, luggage, packages, or other personal belongings unattended during this crossing.
When we were up here last year, I remember seeing some Forest Service roads and was like, oh, I'll probably just camp wherever I need to out there. So I was like, you know what, let's do that. Sometimes things don't go quite as according to plan as they might seem. Had to have gas station dinner tonight. It's okay. Time to boogie into the forest and try to figure out a safe place to spend the night. Where are we going? I don't know. I rallied on up a few Forest Service roads and they were buttery smooth. At first they were paved for a long ways, a couple of driveways, and I'm like, great, it's gonna be a mountain residence road with like driveways everywhere, all no trespassing, all private. But it wasn't that bad. And I saw like campers and stuff, some like sketchy ones, and then some like van life ones, so a mix of the two. Let's see what's up here. And I saw on the map what might be like a cool spot to go, but as you do, I saw a little trail going off the road. Not like a total trail, but like a 2-track. Like someone had driven their truck up here, but not like a bulldozer or anything. Look at this. This is a pretty primo little spot. Well, here we are. Right now I'm just clearing out a few sticks to make a flattish spot for my tent. And then it's getting pretty late, so I'm just gonna go straight to bed. If it's dark in the Northwest in summer, it's late.
Good morning. Feel a lot better with all that sleep. Let's go make some coffee. That's good. Everything is better with coffee. I feel like camping is basically just an excuse to drink coffee in the morning in the forest. A few months ago, this fellow named Jordan reached out from Remedy Supply Co. And Remedy Supply Co. is a small coffee roastery in Auburn, California. Remedy uses the top 5% of coffee grown around the world. It's ethically sourced and sustainably purchased from the farmers themselves, and they roast it right in Auburn, California. It's really good coffee. The prices are reasonable. They make a whole bunch of other really cool products too. I think mosquito. Springtime is not a good time for camping in the Northwest, let me tell you. It's also cool, there are a whole bunch of hardcore outdoor enthusiasts, and one thing that I thought was really cool is Remedy is actually sponsoring the California Enduro Series, And that's a series where I basically cut my teeth on learning how to enduro race. For a limited time, Remedy's offering viewers of my channel a 15% discount on anything you purchase from the Remedy website. Right now, I'm really enjoying the Confluence blend. I think you guys might like it too. Take advantage of that offer with the link down below. Let me know how you like it. And big thanks to the guys at Remedy for their support. We're gonna have a whole bunch of highly caffeinated mosquitoes in a few minutes. For today's episode of Cooking with Jeff, we're gonna make oatmeal. It's just instant oatmeal. But we're gonna make it high performance instant oatmeal by adding 1 cut banana, 1 avocado. Plastic knife ain't quite able to pull out the avocado pit. And 1 bag of trail mix.
I get it, this does not look like much of a technical trail. Well, you know what? When it's totally dark out and you're on a loaded touring bike, weighs over 500 pounds loaded, it's a little more interesting. Oh God. Oh God. Probably would have crashed right there.
Plan for today is to head over to a mountain bike trail that looks really cool. Now, on how we get to that mountain bike trail, there's options. There might be a dirt road connector, which I might want to try, and that could go on the highway. I think it's safer, see what I did there, to ride on the dirt road because then there's no cement trucks going the opposite direction at 60 miles an hour. So I think we're gonna try to ride the dirt road.
And had a blast. This motorcycle's such an upgrade from all the other ones I've had when it comes to that kind of like off-road stuff.
4.2 gallons, 26 bucks. That got me all the way here from where I live across the state and around town a little bit before that. So that plus single, I think it was $9 for the ferry. We're not into this trip too deep financially, which is really nice. So the new motorcycle is actually fun on those dirt roads. It's not like you can send it or whatever, but you can carry way more speed and it's far more relaxed than the last few that I've rented and owned. So yeah, things are looking up.
Went over to this trailhead that I'd never even really heard of. It's just kind of like not super popular, kind of off the main beaten path, and went and parked the moto, hit it as good as I could behind some trees. See, it's not super obvious as you pull in. And just like that, let's go ride. Where is this trail? So the climb up here is pretty relentless. It's not crazy steep, but it's a good effort. Thus far, the Firebird is very much a comfortable modern mountain bike up it. It's been 2 years since I last had the Rocky Mountain altitude, which is probably the closest bike to this that I've ridden. If I remember right, the Rocky felt like it had a slightly steeper seat tube angle, which was cool. But this bike does pedal a touch more efficiently, so it's like 6 one way, half dozen the other. We're gonna hit a quick warm-up trail, see how I'm feeling, see how the bike's feeling, see how the GoPro's feeling on me. And then we'll go back up that road a second time. If I don't look excited, it's because I'm not. Go back up that road. Wow, way steeper and tighter than I'm sure it's gonna look. Oh my goodness. Did I ever bring the right bike for this job? Whoa. Don't send that one deep. You'll land uphill. How's it going? Oh, sweating. You're good.
I wish I had my toe strap.
Right? Have a good ride. Oh, almost punched that stump with my teeth. Yikes. A long mule. Like a lanyule, but long. Ah! You might say, why are there not more wheelies in this video? And to that I might just have to say, well, you know what? These trails were tight and steep. And I wasn't able to wheelie more. Oh, that was blind. Just totally center. These trail builders know what they're doing though. It was fine. Say perhaps to drugs. So right here next to the old oven and the old freezer, there is a really cool old burl made into the shape of kind of a butterfly. This trail is actually a bypass for some butterfly breeding grounds. I don't know all the details behind this, but I think it's a huge success because this bypass trail is really good. So win-win. Butterflies can spawn all they want, top of the hill, and we get to shred just below. Promise we won't peek. Okay, let's keep riding. This part's fun. Some of the best trails are like this, where they kind of go through a ravine or an old creek bed, one up to the other side. All right, that is such a cool feature. We got to shoot that. You. Climbing on the Firebird here, it's fine. I mean, it's definitely not like a cross-country bike, which means, what does that mean, right? It means you got a lot of travel. It means you got a lot of bike. Really long bike like this takes a bit more effort to get through the tighter uphill stuff than a shorter one. On the other hand, it does carry its momentum better, so you can kind of mash it through stuff. But with the bigger bikes, it's basically when you start feeling tired, your climb starts feeling a lot harder. There we go. Literally let go of the front brake on that corner. Let's get him. Oh, that was some high speed into a surprising little corner. What do we got going on here? A bit of a rock roll. I bet the Firebird's got it. Oh, yes, it does. Oh, there we go. That's the postcard. That's pretty incredible. So, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna like, share, subscribe. Find what we find. Okay. Oh, that was rad. Oh, heck yeah. Bit of flow. Oh, that was pedal on rock. Just because. Oh man, awesome. Nice. That was a cool little maneuver, except I'm gonna end up outside. Oh my goodness. So it sounds like I'm skidding more than normal. It is drier and dustier than I'm used to. I'm on a aggressor rear tire, which doesn't have the best braking bite. Whoop. And I got a 203 rotor. So that's all kind of factoring together. Oh, nice. That was cool. Okay, let's catch our breath. There we go. That was an amazing ride. Thank you all for your support. Thanks to Pivot for loaning me this bike. I really want to ride tomorrow too, but first, I might just go the easy route and find a burrito, and then find a long dirt road that goes nowhere, set up camp, and check in with y'all at the end of the day. Peace. So this is where you do donuts. Wonder how good the old KTM could do a donut. I do get nervous at this part here, riding up to the bike, because that's a very expensive bike, and if things are missing, I'll be sad. Hopefully everything's where I left it. People do ask me about the safety of leaving this thing at trailheads unattended, and I don't know. It's just kind of one of those risks you gotta take. One guy on the internet had some very strong words for me about how disrespectful I am to my own motorcycle for leaving it unattended at a trailhead. I don't even know where to start because that is so silly. It's nerve-wracking, sure, but you can't live your whole life in fear. After the ride, I was pretty hungry and needed a break. So I was gonna go into town and find like fancy food, do something proper like a restaurant. Thought I had time to burn, didn't want to deal with cooking my couscous and sausage. First restaurant, I waited in line and it was taking too long, so I left. Second restaurant, waited in line, it was taking too long and all they had was pizza, so I left. I went and got taco time, not my proudest moment, but it hit the spot. I talked to my daughter on the phone, which is critical, and then sent it to find a campsite. And I wasn't sure where I'd be able to find a campsite. If you're like really organized, you can do all this extensive research and plan your trip out to a T, and you know what, you'll probably have a good time. But I do kind of like shooting from the hip on these. It's kind of more adventurous if you don't know where you're going. Pick out a Forest Service road, turn off the main road when I get to it, and there's a gate. And there's like, I probably could have snuck around, but the sign says this road system is closed.
What the heck is this?
I was like, okay, I'll go look at the main campground and cruise by it. And it was actually more of like an OHV campground, which is fine, but pretty loud, pretty rednecky. There's actual OHV trails, and I was thinking like, I could probably ride these on this motorcycle with my bike on back. They're rated green, probably pretty easy, perfect for this. So start motoing up the hill, and I see one like pretty quick, pretty close to the road, and I'm like, oh, that would totally work, but it's like so accessible. Like any meth head could make it right there and give me a hard time in the middle of the night. Kept going, and then I got to a gate where it had a 50-inch wide or narrower bypass, and I am well under 50 inches wide, so I'm fully legit. Popped up the hill, and then went up the ridge and saw the sunset here, and was like, this is the perfect campsite. Holy cow. This ride tomorrow should be pretty intense, and I've got to finish the ride pretty early, by noon. I need to be moving by noon so I can make it to my ferry by 2, and that's kind of pushing it. So I'm going to be waking up early tomorrow morning. Thanks to all of you for tuning in, watching, and if you ever feel tickled to do it, please leave me a comment. Not only do I like reading them and getting your feedback, but it also really helps the algorithm too. It's time to go to bed. Good night, everyone.
Good morning, guys. It's time to get after it. Yesterday, I had a little bit more time for a leisurely morning. Today, I'm in a little bit more of a hot hurry. Sun's coming up. It's getting warm. For today, I actually brought an instant coffee product that my friends at Remedy make. I'll show you real quick. These are sealed in biodegradable cardboard little pouches. There's a few advantages to an instant product. When you're doing a trip like this, it's a lot less to bring with you. You don't need to bring your pour over sock. You don't need to bring, of course, the beans, and you don't need to bring your grinder. Way simpler. I think it also uses a little bit less water because you're just putting hot water in a cup and pouring this in. You're not dealing with the amount of water you're gonna lose to the coffee sock and the coffee is gonna absorb. But the taste of the instant is really good. It's not as good as grinding beans on the fly. I'll definitely say that. But between this and no coffee, I'll definitely take this. And I actually ran out of beans at home and I was drinking these for a little bit, and They're good. They're really good. Big thanks to Remedy for sponsoring me. And if you guys want to try some of this stuff, I've got a discount code. I'll paste that in the description down below. All right, I'm gonna pound this and then get on my bike and go ride. And now we're gonna go ride that ridge right up there. Another campsite. There's a grassy spot there for the tent. Come here on your moto and you can totally ride. But I think it's basically a beginner level network, which is cool too. My daughter is 5.5. I will be looking for trail networks like this very soon. There's the actual OHV trails. Awesome. Trail. Quad trail. Oh gee. So I'm gonna go up this way, which should gain 1,200 feet in about a mile. Oh yeah, starting to go right up. It might not look like much, but you can tell the trees are straight and the road is, ew. That's quite the climb, but that's the only option is to get up there. All right, getting up here. That lake's gorgeous with the real mountains right above it. Looks like you could just hop off that peak and land right in that lake. And over here, you got another body of water, enormous. You could just keep going and end up in Russia or Japan or China that way. Aw, little deer with spots. And we're on the ridge. This trail's funny, it's actually wide enough for quads, 36-inch wide width. So it's kind of wide, but it has a sick little wall ride. Ew! The thing about moto trails is that the average speed can be so high compared to a mountain bike trail. A little different experience. Ride's going good, but this is definitely a motorcycle trail, so it's kind of wide open for a bicycle. And some of the uphills they're not crazy steep, but they're a little bit steeper than you'd probably want for your average mountain bike adventure. Check this out, this corner, there's a 30-foot elevation difference from the low trail to the high trail. And enough dirt bikes have ridden this that they can just pop down the inside line and it's kind of dragged the corner out a little bit. Yeah, that would be a handful of a turn on the inside line on the big bike. Maybe where I'm standing here on the outside, maybe the big bike can make it. Luckily, there's this little flat spot where you can turn around in case you run out of talent. Interesting, cool trail. Would be kind of a tricky corner from the fully loaded touring bike. I can never tell. Will this actually be downhill? Oh, ran out of core strength for that manual. It's one thing about the moto trips. Much more physically demanding than a Subaru trip. So that's kind of a bit of a rut right there. I bet this is the downhill. I gotta look at this corner. I told myself I wouldn't do this, but I might just go ahead and renege on my own promise to myself. This is the most technical thing I've seen so far from my perspective of coming down this trail, but if I were to grab my 890 on this to get back to the ferry, this would be a challenge. It would be fine if I just had the bike and like some tools, but I have all my camping gear, my cooking gear, clothes for 3 days, a mountain bike, all the mountain biking gear, oh, and all this vlogging gear, along with the regular motorcycle stuff. So this is gonna be hard with over 100 pounds of luggage on the bike. And that's packing light. Factor in
a 35-pound mountain bike, and a 15-pound bike rack. Yes, I realize there's ultra lightweight backpackers. They're not carrying vlog equipment. They don't have a tripod, an SLR, 2 GoPros, 4 GoPro, huge Karma Grip batteries, a stack of other stuff. Oh, another tricky corner. And another one. Could probably go down all these, but those are nice turns. Wow. That feels nice. Oh, I'm right by camp. Cool. Oh, there's my tent. Moto, coffee cup. Everything looks unmolested. Perfect. I need to not worry about that. And just leave that up to you guys in the comments to worry about. So right now I need to get to the ferry terminal. I might pop up that trail and try the climb. And if I can make it through those tight switchbacks, I'll just keep going and do the whole trail. If I can't, then I'll find a spot to turn around and deal with that situation, which it would be. Yeah, let's make some bad decisions on a really good motorcycle. Let's try this little trail. Not too optimistic I can make it up that hill with all my junk on the back of this thing.
I realize it's hard to listen to bad narration with the motorcycle engine going, so I'll chime in with a few little notes here.
Oh. I just bumped into that log and it tipped me over.
That right there is a great example of how vulnerable I feel riding this motorcycle. With how far out those panniers stick and how heavy the whole contraption is, something as small as a little snag can put you on the ground pretty quickly. I was basically out of water. I had a bottle and a half left, and right here there was a creek crossing.
Get some water.
But I was tight on time, so I decided to just go for it with the limited water I had and save a few more minutes. Smart decision? Probably not. Coming up this little lush single track was actually quite a bit more challenging than I expected. However, there's a big secret that I'm using on this ride. Traction control. I have the KTM in what's called off-road mode, where it has a very limited amount of slip for the rear wheel. I was really concerned that I would dig massive holes and trenches with this huge overloaded contraption going up the hill. But with the traction control turned on, not only was it easy to get up these hills, but I didn't really throw any roost or anything like that. A lot of these tight corners might be doable, but with all the weight on the bike, trying to lean it over gets pretty sketchy. So I would end up making multiple point turns, which proved to be functional and a lot less energy, but not as fun to watch. Climbing up this stuff, it actually wasn't bad. If I sat down, traction was pretty good because that would weight the front wheel. If I tried to lean forward, that windshield would get into my GoPro and my chin bar, and that didn't work as hot. I'm used to always standing up off-road, and I did end up standing up for all the flatter stuff, but it was kind of surprising how much I had to sit for this steeper climb here. By this point, I was absolutely spellbound at how far I'd made it on this bike. Nothing had seemed really all that insanely difficult. It wasn't easy, but it seemed doable. This is just the kind of challenge I absolutely love. It's not super dangerous per se, but it's tricky.
I can't believe I'm here right now. This is kind of gnarly. Okay, so up here it's gonna be one of the harder parts of the whole trail.
My motorcycle is almost bone stock. In terms of the driveline, it is stock. I don't have an easy clutch or any kind of a lower gearing. On this steeper trail, I did stall the bike a ton, and I had to start and stop a lot so I could line up for different sections. I got nervous that I was gonna end up with a dead battery somewhere on this mountain. For me to jumpstart this bike, I actually have to remove the entire bicycle rack assembly so that I can then remove the seat. In the future, I'll get set up with a way to jumpstart it without pulling the seat.
Excuse my language, but holy, that was crazy. This wouldn't be all that hard on a dirt bike, but yeah, try it with 500 pounds below you. Stoked to make it this far. This does not belong right here. was a bit of work. A few of these tight switchbacks. It was like when I was coming down this on the bicycle this morning, I remember thinking, this part is hard. I stopped and looked at this one, and this ain't nearly as challenging as the other ones.
After making it up the last bit of steep switchback and onto the actual ridgeline, it felt amazing. I started to relax, but I also realized that it was going to be hard to go back down all that steep stuff I'd ridden up, and that I was fairly committed at this point. It's kind of a cool feeling, to be honest. I also took off my jacket and stashed it on the bicycle, which helps a ton with how hot it is. Remember, I only had those 2 bottles and had to conserve water. So that low-slung gas tank that's so ugly is also very practical. However, when the trail starts to get more rutted out, that low-hanging gas tank would actually smack into things on occasion. I don't know if I'm the hugest fan of it, but the way this bike rides is good enough that I think I can overlook that drawback. On the flip side, as often as I end up dropping this bike, that gas tank helps keep it from getting all damaged, so maybe I am a big fan.
Woo! Cool.
Up here on the actual ridgeline, I started to have quite a bit of fun. However, when you're doing a ride with a touring bike, whether it's a bicycle or a motorcycle, the actual ride quality is a little bit diminished, definitely. The adventure is more the adventure and not so much risking yourself by going fast. And here we're getting to one of the corners that I thought might be kind of tricky to come down. Well, can we make it? Here, I wanted to be in second gear and carrying a little bit more speed. However, with how bad the weight distribution is, once I got up in second, I felt like if I hit the wrong route or rut, I could pretty easily get bucked off the trail and down the hill. That would suck. I was having a bit of a problem where this bike likes to fall back into neutral when you click it into second gear. When you're in second, the bike is so much smoother and more stable and feels a lot safer, but since it is geared pretty tall at the stock gearing, second ends up needing a lot of clutch slippage to get through the steeper bits. I'm a little bit concerned that this stock clutch is going to one day prematurely wear out from all my wheelies and kind of dirt biking. Hopefully I'm wrong with that concern.
So if you guys remember on the ride up here, I got to this corner and was like, oh dang, just got real. So I don't know how this is going to be to make it on the big bike coming down. I don't think I have that inside line. I think I'm going to have to go out wide and do basically a full 270. Yeah, that makes more sense. I mean, I might be able to turn down, but I don't want to end up tipping over and getting in a tough spot using up food, energy, water.
This is the first time I've really ridden this motorcycle down anything with any kind of actual elevation loss. Well, I've ridden roads, but nothing like a trail like this. And I was really pleasantly surprised. I'm pretty comfortable with going down hills on motorcycles because it feels a lot like a bicycle, only maybe a touch safer and better. But I couldn't believe how well this was working out on the downhill. I didn't feel like I was going to get bumped off the trail nearly as easily as it felt like on the flatter or even uphill sections. I was a little concerned with getting a flat tire, but you know what? You can worry in one hand and send it on the other, and I know which one will definitely have more adventures.
I can't believe that worked. That should not work. This motorcycle does the highway at like 80 miles an hour semi-comfortably, somewhat safely. It just did almost a single track for 5 miles with 100 pounds strapped to it, and it got through it. I'm blown away. Now we got a boogie because over there somewhere 2 hours away is our ferry. We're a few minutes behind schedule, so I'm gonna pound a little water and then we're gonna book it.
From looking at my mapping software, it seemed like I could just kind of go on connecting roads and actually another trail to make it back to the highway. Sure enough, that connecting trail would actually be a pretty big highlight. When it's 2 rutted out tracks, basically quad track, it's extremely difficult to ride on the 890. You end up bouncing from one rut to the other rut. When the trail is smoother without those 2 separate ruts, it's so much easier. Once it was down here in the low elevation forest, everything felt really good. I would love to come back here with an unladen bike and actually kind of get after it a little bit on these trails. I did have one bit of a mistake in this here corner, and I wish I had a little bit more meat on these tires. I'm still running the stock Continental TKC 80s.
Slid right out. That's some washout marks, jeez. I think this trail here is the one that I'll use to teach my daughter how to ride motorcycles one day. It's pretty mellow, pretty safe, pretty easy, and I was here on a Monday, but I only saw one other person riding the whole day I was there. God. I bet all my cards on the fact that I could get around the gate, or maybe that there wasn't even a gate, to escape from this trail network to the highway. Sure enough, it was another one of those sub 50-inch okay to go around situations. I saw a random person hitchhiking on the side of the road, and it was time to boogie.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
That is quite the contraption.
It is, yeah.
Okay. I have to charge you for an under 14, okay? Because you're bigger than a motorcycle.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
There was no extra charge coming over to Edmonds to Kingston yesterday. It was just the regular $7.
Would you call this an under 14? He's got a bicycle off the back of it.
He's still narrow enough we can squeeze him in the side.
So charge him as a motorcycle?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you guys, appreciate it.
$7.
The ferries
Thank you.
are super fun. I know it's kind of cheesy to make a big deal out of going on the ferry, but you know what? When it's a hot summer day out and you get that cool air that's been blowing across the Pacific, it feels amazing. I was pretty exhausted by this point, but the ride back home to Bellingham is absolutely gorgeous, and I was really excited to get home and see my daughter. With that, I'm going to end the video right here. Thank you all for watching. Please hit the subscribe button if you enjoyed this, and if you have any friends that like random adventures on motorcycles or even bicycles, please help me out and share this video with them. All right, thanks everyone. I'll see you in the comments below. Peace.